Finally. Wow. So let's get this unwrapped and see what this is. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So here we have all of the components of the roll bar laid out on the floor. This is not a roll cage, this is a roll bar. A roll cage would have the halo hoop coming off of the main hoop here. So that's why this is considered a roll bar, not a roll cage. But most people call something like this a roll cage. So let me give you a look at this gorgeous color. Can you see that? That's called carbon flash metallic. It's absolutely gorgeous. I know some of you younger guys would have liked me to have had this coated in a lime green or bright yellow, but that's just not me. So check that out. Now if you come over to the car has similar characteristics. See the car? Color of the car? You can see like blue and green. So the car is called Cyber Gray. Now it's not an exact match, and I didn't want it exact match, but they both have that flaky metallic in them. That's a gorgeous color on the car. So, but we have a little problem. Does anybody see something wrong with this picture? Can anybody see something wrong? Yeah. We could thank the freight company for that. This one is pretty bad. It's going down and then gets folded up. Not good. And this one is twisted up on an angle. You see that? You pay $3,000, I wait 2.5 months, and that's what they do. Yes, this is not cheap, ladies and gentlemen. None of the roll bars for these Corvettes are cheap. So this was just under $3,000, and he did give me a discount. I also got a 5-point harness, and I also got a bracket kit to mount the 5-point harness to the seat. This manufacturer does something a little different. As you can see, they have these little posts here and the seat belt bolts to the post. A lot of fabricators or a lot of the other roll bar companies, you'll just wrap the belt around the post. So, I don't know how I'm going to straighten these out. Could get like a sheet metal vice grips, or sometimes they call it a duckbill vice grip. Grab it and try to bend it down. I called the manufacturer and they said I won't fatigue the metal if I just bend it down once. If I did it 20 times, then yeah, I would fatigue it. Of course, the powder coat is broken and flaked off. But this goes under the rug. You don't really see it. I think what I'll do is I'll take 2 big adjustable wrenches. So if you just take one and pull down, you're not gonna get it probably to sit straight. It might bend crooked. So if I put 2 and then pull down simultaneously, maybe I could get it. But this is not gonna lay flat. But when I bolt it down to the floor, and when I sandwich it with the bolts and the plate that goes underneath the car, it should level out. So now this is the rear section, and that will get bolted to here. This is an add-on, doesn't come with this. Actually, if you were to order this from this manufacturer, you would just, the basic setup would just be this right here, what I'm holding up. You don't get the door bars. That's additional. You don't get the rear bars. That's additional. And I opted for this too right here. This is a, what is it, SCCA bar. If you go road racing, they'll require that you have that. But I put it on there for additional safety. And also, I went with a thicker walled chromoly. This is chromoly, so it's lighter than mild steel. So it's not really that heavy. If I remember, I'll try to weigh each piece and get a total. But I can tell you now, probably the heaviest part here is that box right there, which contains all the hardware. And the majority of this is all bolt-in, you know, drilling holes and bolting it in. But there is some welding required for the rear bars. So basically these plates will get welded to the frame above the muffler like that, and then that'll bolt to here. But the hardware that's in here and those brackets, this shit is heavy. Oh, and then you have the plates for the floorboard here for the main hoop. So it looks pretty well laid out. I don't see instructions, no. But I believe they have them on their website. This is an RPM roll bar. This is considered a 6-point, not an 8-point. However, it technically does have 8 points, but they don't recognize this. I guess because it bolts on to there instead of it's being one piece. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 and 8. So this goes down by your feet for the door bars. Those are the 2 door bars right there. So it's still categorized as a 6-point cage, even though it has 8 points of contact. The hardest part about all this for me is the drilling. That's going to be hard to drill into the car. That's going to be real hard. But I've got to do it. The car's just, in my opinion, it's too powerful and it's too fast. And let's be honest, I'm not a professional. I'm just a novice. And when you get on this thing, she likes to skate around. So, yeah, I really need this, you know. For my safety, for my peace of mind and comfort, I'm not going to the track without this. So, let me go print the instructions. Well, actually, let me try to bend those straight. Alright, guys. I just want to show you what I'm going to do. I just put some padding there and there, just in case these things drop. I don't want to chip it or nick it. So that's how I'm going to do it. Hopefully it works. So that should bend it. I just, hope I could get it as lined up as good as possible. Closest to the way it was. Alright, wish me luck. Well, it did exactly what I thought it was going to do. Kind of made that little divot. I guess that's okay. Yeah, I made that dent there. Oh, that's the best I could do, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, let me try the other side. That one's going to be harder because it's bent on an angle. Goddamn savage. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, so I did a little more tweaking and I got it about as good as I can get it. No, I don't have the right tools. Just when you come out towards this edge here, you got this big dip. That's alright, I guess. Alright, let me get to that side. That side's gonna be tough. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, so I'm pretty much done with this. I'm not going to go too crazy. They'll get straightened out. This one's not so bad. This is the passenger side. The driver's side one is pretty bad, but it's alright. It'll straighten out. You see that? Goddamn animals. That's the best I could do. I don't want to go crazy on this. Alright, so let me go print the instructions. First thing you're going to have to do is take out the seats. Pull back the rug. Maybe remove some panels. I don't know. Let me go print the instructions and I'll be back. Alright guys, so we are getting ready to start installing the RPM roll bar. That little switch panel came out pretty good. Really happy with how that came out. Okay, so let's get back to it. Okay, so we're getting ready to install the RPM roll bar. And the first couple of steps of the instruction tell you to remove this panel here and the seats. There's 4 bolts. Disconnect some electrical connections. I disconnected the battery already. I'll take off the roof just to make getting the seats in and out and getting the main hoop in there easier. So after you take these panels off here, get the seats out, peel the carpet back, then I believe you have to lower the gas tanks because the crossover tube is concealed underneath that bulkhead right there. And you're going to drill through that bulkhead, which the drilling is going to be quite painful for me to do. I'm not looking forward to drilling into my car. But it's got to get done. It's a necessity at this point. Alright, I don't even know how to take those off. I imagine they just pop off. Let me figure out how to take those off and I'll be back. Alright, so I put some blue tape here just so I don't scratch anything if I'm taking the seats in or out or the roll bar in or out. So step 1 of the instructions say just to pull out this trim panel here. It just says pull up, but you can't just pull up. They're being like held in place with looks like some metal pins and it looks like there's a tab, but it's hard to reach. So these instructions, looking at all the photos and some of the wording, these instructions are clearly for a C5. So perhaps a C5 has different trim panels. I don't know, because they're not just popping out as I'm pulling up. So that's a C5 there. And there's some other differences I've noticed with the instructions. So let me figure out how to get those panels off, because they're not just pulling out. And then another thing, there's no instructions for the rear bars, like where to mount those brackets that have to be welded, or where you should cut. So I'll give RPM a call, see if they have anything to help out with the rear section. But let's just try to get past step number 1. Jesus. Things always sound easier than they are, trust me. Alright, let me get back to it. I'll be back. Okay, so I am going to skip step 1. Maybe you could just pull the carpet down and out from under it. In the instructions, it says to pull this out because on the C5, the foot bracket is like an L shape and it comes up here and then down. So up. But on the C6, it's just flat. It goes here. So maybe I could just peel the rug out from under and then tuck it back in. I don't know. So to undo the seats on the front, you just gotta pop out this pin with a screwdriver, pull this off, and undo the 4 bolts. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, so I got the 4 bolts undone. They're 15 millimeter. I undid that plug, and then I undid that plug. And now I just got to take this bolt off for the factory seat belt, and then the seat should come out. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, so both seats are out. You got 2 plugs on this side, and you have 3 on this side. You got 2 on the floor, and then we want 1 right there for the seat belt. So I guess we'll try to peel the carpet back, and we'll see how that goes. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, so I got this panel up a bit. It's got 3 clips. What you gotta do is try to pull this panel up as much as you can, and then stick a small screwdriver and push it on this center tang to relieve some of the tension, and then pull it up. I don't know if you could just force them up, but that's how I got them. So the rug over here kind of goes around this door release, this manual door release. So maybe I'll have to undo this, pull this off, or just cut the rug here. Alright, let me look into it. I'll be back. I got this rug out. This one kind of just pulled out. Pretty easy. So this one you're just trying to like pull over to the side, get it out of the way. And there's no instructions to help you with the back, but I assume the whole back has to come out, especially if you're going to weld the brackets on. Alright, I'll be back. Yeah, it looks like you got to take this thing out, because it looks like there's a rod going through here, and then a rod going through here. So I guess you take off these end caps. Ay, ay, ay. Nothing is easy. You can't just pull back the carpet like the instructions say. Come on. Alright. Let me get to it. I'll be back. Okay, so I got that panel off. You had one more clip up there. And then you had to like just wiggle it down and out. That was held in by 2 torque bolts. I got them off. You could see the rug was cut out around, so you weren't going to just pull the rug out like the instructions say. And you still can't pull the rug back because it's pinched and held in with that footrest. So you got a nut there and a nut over there you got to undo. And then you could pull the rug back. And the reason why you want to pull it back this way is so that you could access the door bar brace, which goes down around here. So, the garage is a mess. Alright, let me get to it, and I'll be back. So far, not the easiest job. Alright, I'll be back. Alright guys, so I got that footrest off, and that contains the brains for the methanol, the alky control methanol kit. I took off that little stop that was there. That also held the rug in place. I'm just going to take the rug out. I already pulled it out from there. It's kind of like in the shape of a bathtub, so I'm just going to pull the whole rug out just to make life easier. Alright, so let me just get this rug out, then we'll just have to do the same on the passenger side. Then figure out what to do with that rug in the back. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, so I'm on the passenger side. I'm going to take this panel off and then pull out the rug. This one should be easier because there's no footrest pinching the rug down. I'm going to have to undo that manual door release handle. Alright, so I got the rug and the panel out. Got this rug out, that rug out. Now we can just work on the rear. I got the top mounted there. I took the top off to give myself more access. So, and I just covered the plugs in that thing just so I don't damage it. A little bit of sand under here. I'll vacuum that up. Alright, so let me put that rug in storage. Let me get that top, put that in storage. And then I'll work on that rear rug. And then I could probably just sit the main hoop in here. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, so now I'm going to try to take out this rear rug here. Maybe I should take this off first. So you got those push pins there. You got like a screw-on button there. This unscrews. You got to undo the light. Same on the other side. Looks like the rug slides over this. This will probably stay. Again, this is my first time doing this, so I don't really know. And then maybe pry this out. Got to undo these covers. I believe they're held in with some pins. This is all part of the rug. See? Well, let me try to figure it out. Wish I had instructions. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, so everything is out. You do have a clip there. And two clips there and there. Pretty complex rug. It's got because it's got those doors molded into it. If you have a second hand, that would be nice. But that's it. Those are the two rear pieces. Those were held in with 3 clips. Just pop them up. You have some. Okay, now we could fit the main hoop in there. Let me just vacuum and wipe it down, then I'll get that in there. And then I'm going to stop for the day because I've been at this for a while, and I gotta do other things. All right, I'll be back. All right, guys. So I'm going to stop here. I got the roll bar just sitting in place. But it's beating the shit out of me because I'm just having fitment issues on this side. So that bottom plate is resting on the floor. This plate is resting on the bulkhead. But this side won't rest on the bulkhead. And this won't sit on the floor. And that's because you see that stuff there? So they have some like a seam sealer. So I cut out the seam sealer. But then if you could see behind it, see that lighter gray there? That's like some real thick, heavy duty shit. And it's like damn near impossible to cut. So, it's not sitting flush here or here because of that really heavy duty glue. It's not this stuff cuts easy. That's what that is there. Hold on. Alright, well, I'm pretty much beat up. This is definitely a two-man job getting this thing into place. Alright, so let me finish. That's pretty much how it'll look. Alright, I'll be back in a couple days. Alright guys, welcome back. It's the next day. So I use an air saw and a chisel to carve out. You can't really see it good. This is like the equivalent of like a rock. Some type of epoxy, like similar characteristics to JB Weld. So maybe now I could push this all the way back. We'll see. Alright, let me get to it and I'll be back. Okay, so I've got the main hoop in place. I cut away most of that epoxy that was not letting this go back all the way. I didn't have any epoxy on that side to cut. That side didn't give me an issue. It was just this side. So then I mocked up the rear bars, down bars, because I wanted to make sure that they lined up over there, which they do, and I wanted to make sure that they would kind of be level over on this side too. And they pretty much look like they are. Can't really tell for certain, but so what's next? You know what I was thinking? So this side's sitting above this just a little bit. That side's sitting flush. But if you guys remember, you can see right there, the shipping company dented the bottom plate, folded it, and then when I straightened it out, it kind of made like a divot, like a bump. So maybe this side's not sitting flush because of the bump that's down there. You can see it right there. It is pretty significant. That could be why that's not flush, but I don't know. That just seems like too much of a gap. See that? So the instructions say to bolt this in first, but I'm clearly not going to do that. I'm going to bolt this corner down first and see if it should cinch this side down and clear up this 1/8 of an inch gap. But that's 1/4 of an inch, so I still don't think, while I think it might bring this down more, I just don't think it'll bring it all the way down. Interesting. Maybe it will. But that isn't exactly 1/4 of an inch gap. And this is like 1/8 of an inch. So maybe I could bring it down 1/8, and then when I tighten it, this will compress another 1/8 of an inch, make up that 1/4 inch gap. I don't know, but I'm definitely going to have to drill and set this corner up first and not do these sides. What's also happening is, with this being so high, if I were to drill here, the hole will be like right at the top of this bend here. I guess that's what I gotta do. Get this side down first. I'm gonna pull the cage forward, just make sure there is no little piece of epoxy holding it up. But that's what I'll do. Oh my God, what did I just do? Oh my God, did I actually just do that? Lord have mercy, that was painful. Alright, so there I used the step bit. I put some blue tape so I knew where to stop. And there you go. There's a hole. Alright, let me do this one and I'll be back. So there you go, guys. I moved the cage forward so I could have better access because this bar was interfering when you were trying to drill that hole straight. Oh boy, I can't believe I did that. Oh well. Alright. Now I'll go drill the holes on the other side. I'll be back. Okay, so I can't get the spacer in all the way. It's just like 1/8 of an inch off. I just have to cut or grind down like 1/8 of an inch off the end here to slide it in all the way. Alright, so that's what I'll do. I'll be back. Okay, so I cut the spacer and got it in there. That lines up. So, time to do the same on that side. I'll just put the nuts and washer down here to hold it in place. I'll do the same there. I'll just make these not really tight, just a little tight. Because after you, I guess after you drill out all the holes for there, and here, then you have the plates that go underneath the car. But those plates don't have any holes drilled into them. So you're going to have to transfer a mark from the car down to the plate while you hold it. And then drill into that as well. Alright, so for now I'm just going to put the nuts and bolts just to hold it down. I'll lightly tighten them and then I'll move around the car. Okay, so we're on the passenger side. This is back all the way. I'm going to mark the holes. I used a center punch to make a little indentation here, and then I pulled it forward so I could make like a pilot hole, and then I went up to the step bit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm also going to have to grind this spacer down. As you can see, it doesn't go all the way back. That's only because I left some of this seam sealer. I left a little bit down here. I just didn't want to take it all out. I just cut like 1/4 of an inch off. That's all. Alright, well, I'll be back. Okay, so I cut this and ground it down. I smoothed out the edges. But the bolt holes don't really line up. So I got that one lined up, but then that one is off quite a bit, you could see. And if I line up that one, then that one's off a bit. So I will have to elongate. I'll probably do this hole here. That's all I have to do. Alright, let me mark and drill tap these holes. I'm sorry, so let me mark, center punch, and drill these holes here. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, so now that I got the plate, the spacer in there, I've got these just like hand tight. Let me drill and put the bolts through here. Alright, I'll be back. Alright guys, so we're underneath the car. Trying to figure out how I could get the bottom plate set up. Here's the bottom plate. As you can see, it doesn't have any holes. So it's got to go like this. So basically, you would have to undo all these bolts, and then from the top, move the cage, and then from the top, somehow hold this in place, and then mark and trace the holes out onto here. But that's just not going to work. That's, this thing's going to move around. I'm here by myself. So what I did was, I took this, I laid it over a piece of cardboard. I traced it out to the same shape. This is the face up. And then okay, so I got it. I got my cardboard template into position where I want it. I want a certain amount of overhang here and a certain amount of overhang on that far nut too, because you don't want to have the nut right at the edge here. So I got it into position, lined up, so it's basically going to fit from here to here, this flat side. So it's going to go like that. Let me turn the flash on. Hold on. Alright, so the plate will fit in that groove right there. I got it lined up to where I wanted it. Once I had it where I wanted it, I just took a mallet and boom, 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 I hit it, and it actually makes the indentations on the other side. And actually, if you hit it hard enough, you could actually cut through. So you could see. So now I can undo this. Check that out. Hole's so tight it actually threads into place. So now there are the bolt holes. There, there, and there. And then I'll take this, overlay it on the actual metal plate, and then be able to transfer the holes. And then come back and bolt it up. Pretty clever, if I do say so myself. When you're always working by yourself, you gotta be 2 steps ahead and think differently. Even if you had a second hand here, somebody holding this here, and then another person trying to trace the holes through the top, it's still going to move around. But this was the best way to do it. Look at that. This thing actually threads on. That's how precise Mr. Wrench is, ladies and gentlemen. Boom. Just like that. Perfect. All right. Let me just cut out those holes, transfer the pattern on the holes onto here, and drill it, and then undo this, set it in place. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so there's my bottom plate. Here's my cardboard template. I'll lay it over, trace the holes, drill them to size, and then get it in place. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so I traced the holes, made a little punch, and now I'll drill them out. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, so there's my plate. Let's go see if it fits. So check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Everything just fits perfect. Slide it on and off. Alright, let me just cinch it down. I'll be back. So there is some of that dreaded epoxy. I'm going to have to cut it. Cut it off. And I got to be careful because it looks like it's filling in the hole there. Some type of gap. Yeah. So I'll just Try to cut it flush. These are the little things that screw you up. But everything's lining up, all the bolts are in. As you can see, it's just that epoxy is holding up this side. Alright, more wasted time. This is definitely not as going as fast as I would have liked. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, let me set up that side. Get everything lined up, bolted down. That's a lot of work, to be honest. It's a lot of like fitting, putting on, taking off, putting on, taking off. Alright, I'll be back. Alright guys, so welcome back. I've got that side cinched down. That's the driver's side. That only took me like 30-40 minutes to get done. Once I had figured out how to do the passenger side, that side was very easy. Edit that out. I made the cardboard template on the bottom side. I marked the holes, punched them, drilled them. No issues. Fit just perfect. So for now I'm going to work here and then over here. Now you have the crossover tube running across here, so you're supposed to drop the tanks. Alright guys, so we're underneath the car obviously. So I undid the 2 plates that hold in the gas tanks. It's only 5 bolts. Only took a minute or 2 to undo them. The tanks fell about, they didn't fall, they descended about 1 inch or 2. This one descended about 2 inches, this one came down about 1 inch. So rather than just, they're actually full, so rather than putting all that stress on the crossover tube and stuff, I just have it supported here, so it's just resting on here, so it's not, it doesn't have the full weight pulling down on the crossover tube, and I did the same over here. So with them out of the way, I don't know if you could see that corrugated silver tube, that's the crossover tube. Let me see if I can get some more light up in there. But you now have plenty of room. You can see up there. Yeah. So my flashlight is several inches above the crossover tube. You have a good amount of space now to drill holes. So if you're doing this, definitely lower the tank. Don't take the chance. Alright. Wasting your time and my time because nobody could see shit. So now let's go back up top and let's mark those holes on the bulkhead. Alright, I'll be back. Alright guys, so welcome back. So I've got this tightened all the way down. Hold on, let me get comfortable here, if I can. So I lowered the gas tanks, I took off the shields, I let them fall down as much as they could, and then I braced them with some wood. I just didn't want them resting on the crossover tubes. So basically the filled tube is like, the crossover tube is like down here, so that's pretty low, far out of the way. But I forgot, and the instructions don't mention, that there is a plastic vent tube right here, right in line with these holes, where you got to make these holes. So I first started with a very small bit, and then I went up in size just a little bit, and then I started poking a flashlight in there, and I really couldn't see anything. So then I took this punch and I put it through the hole, and I could immediately feel the tube there. I was like, oh shit, there's a tube there, I forgot. So then I got underneath and I looked more carefully, and sure enough, there it was. So I took a small bungee cord and like hooked it around the tube and just very gently, I didn't pull hard at all, just tugged it down and out of the way, down about 1 inch. So it's sitting right about here right now, right here. So you got to be mindful of that and be very careful. Don't just take a 3/8 bit and punch through here. So be very mindful of that. Lower the tanks and watch out for that vent tube here. Okay, so now we've got that tightened all the way down. This is tightened all the way down. That's tightened all the way down. And unfortunately, that is still 1/4 of an inch above the peak here. Like a triangle type peak there. So, let me brainstorm overnight. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. Let me brainstorm what the hell I could do. And then I'll be back. I just don't know where to mark those holes right now. I have to figure out exactly how I'm going to work that out. Alright, I'll be back. Let me see if I could show you guys that tube. It's just so hard to do anything with it. Okay, so you can see the bungee cord there. I just wrapped it around that tube and it helped to pull it down like just an inch. I didn't put a lot of tension. It's a small bungee cord. It's only like 6 inches long. And I tied it. Hold on. I just tied it there. So now that I'm done, I'm just going to undo it. Now I want to show you guys another trick. See this piece of wood? It's about 1/4 of an inch thick. And I didn't measure it. It's like 4 inches wide. I jammed it all the way up here. And that's where you're going to drill through. You could just barely see one of the bolts. If you get yourself a 1/4 inch piece of wood, cut it down to size, you could jam it up in there. So when you're drilling through this here, you'll hit the wood first instead of that plastic vent tube, the gas tank, or the crossover tube. So the crossover tube starts like there and goes that way. And then that's the top of the gas tank. So that's just another little idea, little trick. I did this after I drilled that first pilot hole, and I stuck that punch through there. The punch is not sharp, guys. The punch is not sharp. It's got a flat face. So once I felt that plastic vent tube, then I stuck that wood in there to help protect it. And then I was very careful and didn't go deep with the drill bit. Alright, I'll be back. Alright guys, welcome back. So I'm starting on the passenger side. I took my punch, I punched the holes where I felt was the best spot. And I started with a really small bit. And then I worked my way up gradually. And I did my trick. I took a little bungee cord, I put it around that vent cable, the vent tube, and I tugged it down gently just to get it out of the way. And it is completely out of the way. The tube is, let me see if I could get it. So there's the tube. See that white thing and then the black? So that's far down and out of the way. If you're going to do this, start on the outside, not on the inside. I did that over here, and the tube was closest on the inside. So if you're going to do it, start on the inside, not the outside. Because I did this one first on the outside, and that's where the tube was closest. So I came closest to hitting it here. So start on the inside first. Okay, so I punched through, and this is tricky because this bulkhead is on an angle. It's, if you could see it, see it's not flat. the back side is flat, but this side is like this. So when you drill, you gotta hold your drill straight. You know, don't go in the same direction of the bulkhead, because you're gonna go down into the tank or those lines. And there's a video on YouTube where they're repairing the RPM roll bar install on a C5 convertible. And whichever shop did it originally, they did exactly this. They held the drill like this down, and they drilled 2 holes into the tanks, into both tanks. So look for that video. So make sure you hold your drill flat and level. So I punched through to the other side, and I'm gonna do the same here and see what happens with that gap. If I push this back all the way, it doesn't close the gap at all. But we'll get to that gap. And to start off, here's a trick. So I start off with a really small bit. I just puncture a hole. And you all know when you drill a hole, you kind of like fall through once the drill bit punches through. So I didn't want that to happen with the big bits until I could see really good. So I kind of like found this piece of pipe, which I don't know how long it is. Worked out perfect. It fits over the drill, and then just like an inch of the bit sticks out. So I use that to prevent me from punching through and hitting something until I'm certain I know where that vent tube is. So if you want to try that, just get yourself a pipe. Use this as like a spacer blocker. Alright, let me get to it and I'll be back. Here's another little trick. I don't know how you're going to do this, but I've got my punch here. It's got a blunt nose, so it's not going to puncture anything. So if you're trying to like feel around, stick it in the hole. And I could see, so I want to start working over here. I could see that, and I could feel that there's nothing in the way. Besides, I can see that the vent tube is way down. So I don't know how you're going to do it, but take something, a little feeler, something that you could stick in the hole. Make sure there's no obstruction. Alright, I just finished the final drilling. Got a 3/8 bit. Boom. Goes right through. Where's the backing plate? It's right here. So I'll bolt that one up just to kind of lock this and hold it in place, and then I'll start drilling the rest. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, so I've got this side all buttoned down. Bolts are on the other side. Where the hell am I? No issues, but it's still not resting on the peak here, like that side. It did come down. However, it's clearly, I don't know, what is that, like an 1/8? Hold on. Okay, it did come down, but it's still about 1/8 of an inch off, it looks like. See? So, this bar is tightened down, that one's all the way down, that one and this one. But it's still 1/8 of an inch off. Alright, let me think how I'm going to address this. And I'll be back.